Squad boss.
Okay, so why is Yoshimitsu good? Flash! Okay, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's kind of true though, but in a different way than what you're thinking. I'll explain later. Yoshi has been getting a lot of comments saying that he's top 5. Why though? Why? Let's talk about Yoshi. So let's talk about his strengths and his weaknesses. Strengths mainly for me being his combo damage, Okizeme, and his unorthodox playstyle. Let's start with his combo damage. Now Yoshi's combo damage is above average. You're able to get some pretty good combo damage if you launch with Yoshi, because I feel that that's a key part of his playstyle. Move, poke, get a launch from somebody, and then eat as much damage as you can get, then put them into an Okizeme situation and try to finish the round. I believe that's the standard strategy for using Yoshimitsu. So let's talk about Yoshi's strengths. Combo damage. Combo damage is a main strength of Yoshimitsu. He gets really good damage from his launches, and his launches are pretty specific and pretty distinct. They have certain levels of evasion to them and certain specifics in terms of timing and the scenarios that you can use them. So if people don't know the Yoshimitsu mashup, they get caught by some pretty weird launches in some pretty weird scenarios or situations, and then you'll be able to eat a ton of damage from them. So that's one of his strengths and strong points. His game plan is more around the lines of like move around, poke a little, and then try to catch the opponent, mash it or press it at a wrong time, get a big launch from them, eat a ton of damage, and then basically put them into an Okizeme situation and try to finish the round. Which brings us to his second strength, I believe, which is Okizeme. Now Yoshi is a he's pretty tricky. He's a pretty tricky character, right? His Okizeme tools are above a lot of other members of the cast. Some of them are quite risky, but if you apply them correctly, you really eat a ton of damage from their life bar, like really. Of course, as I said, some of them are pretty risky, so you have to know what you do and how you use them and what scenarios to use them, but it's pretty strong when it comes on to Okizeme, especially at the wall. And the third thing about Yoshimitsu for me, which is one of his biggest strengths, is his unorthodox playstyle. And by this I mean that Yoshimitsu has some basic fundamental tools, right? Like for example, he has good jab, good down forward one. He doesn't have good lows, but you know, they're usable. For example, if you need a high crush, it's possible. You know, this is launch punishable, but if you use it in the right time, in the right scenario, it can be, you know, good to like break pressure or, you know, or set up Okizeme, for example, right? But he's pretty basic too, so he has good, reasonably good generic tools. So he can be in a scenario where he's like fighting, jab down forward, one type of scenario, and then just out of the blue he can just do something that breaks the rules somehow and just launch you for a ton of damage. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's pretty distinct. As you know, you would think that you'd be playing regular Tekken, you know, everything is good, and then Yoshimitsu just does something that just breaks the rules, you know what I mean, and just eats a ton of damage from your life bar. So in that regard, I think it's one of his strengths, because it forces opponents to like change the way that they play. They can't play the way that they normally play. They have to rethink, readjust, unlearn all of the habits. For example, if they go like, you know, into down forward one or something, then Yoshimitsu can just spin and launch you, or, you know, flash you depending on the scenario, and it just eats a ton of your life bar. You know, so people talk about flash like it's a broken move, but it isn't really. But it's one of the tools that breaks your opponent, like stops them from autopiloting and just doing what they always do, and the habits that they always have that they probably might use to rank up. They can't just flowchart against you, because Yoshi is a pretty defensive character that has like tools to make your opponent just have to just stop the crap. and like really think and play and use their brain in the game, and a lot of players can't handle it. So that gives you a big advantage in a lot of scenarios for me, in my opinion. And that's what I mean when I talk about this unorthodox playstyle.